Ray McGovern, the former top CIA analyst who gave the morning briefings to Ronald Reagan and George Herbert Walker Bush, he is going to be joining us in about 30 minutes to give us his breakdown of what's really happening in the Middle East, namely Gaza, but also there was Syria and Egypt. Then, Bruce Fein, Ron Paul's, top policy advisor, when he was running for president and constitutional lawyer, will be coming on to talk about moves to have the states secede, not to create a new government, but use their Declaration of Independence to create whatever government they wish. Well, we choose the Republic. We choose to re-upload the Bill of Rights, Constitution, Declaration of Independence, because it says whatever government they see fit. Well, we want the foreign bankster occupation government out. That's the best way to do this nonviolently. And if the states line up and put that story out to the public, it isn't about slavery or something, as the media has tried to spin it, totally asinine, then we will win in the hearts and minds of the public. The media will try to script it that it's radicals who want their own countries or want to return to slavery. You've seen those bizarre statements out there that make obviously no sense. We want to return to the Republic and an end to the corrupt empire that's bankrupting us by design. So that's coming up with Bruce Fein. Paul Watson will pop in today, kicks off the national opt-out of the naked body scanners. They've even congressional hearings last week documented that they're saving the naked images. They were caught lying again. That it is giving people cancer, and that the new scanners are just as bad as the old ones. And I mean, I got to tell you, I saw a national poll. I didn't even cover this yesterday, but I have it here in my stack. We've got NBC, ABC News, Huffington Post, DrudgeReport.com. They're all been covering off and on these reports about the opt-out. And this was big 2 years ago when this happened. Now it's happening. Now it's happening again. And Paul Watson, about a month ago, said, hey, let's do this. And he's been working with some activists. And so I said, okay, we'll push for it. And people across the political spectrum don't want to have their dignity violated. They know it's all security theater. They know it's all dog training to train us, that we're all basically perpetrators, that we're all prisoners, that we're all guilty until proven New World Order stooges. So it is about training us that we are bad guys, that that the state is God and we're all suspect criminals. And now I saw a national poll out where over 50% of people, and we're going to be covering that. It's over here in this stack. Look how much I've got in the stacks today. If we do a wide-angle shot here, look at all the news I've got in the stacks. I don't think I've probably ever had this much stuff, because if you even go over here on the right-hand side for PrisonPlanet.tv viewers and pan over there, you can see all of those stacks of news, all of them incredibly important stories that are up at Infowars.com and PrisonPlanet.com that are just so incredibly important. A lot of it is from today. A lot of it's from yesterday I didn't get to. Things like Obama is going over to Asia, and they're in one country, and there are some little water lizards out there that look a little bit like Komodo dragons. They're in the same family, but they don't attack anything bigger than a rat. And the Secret Service thought they were Komodo dragons that were going to attack the president. Too stupid to know Komodo dragons don't live there. They live only in one area. Certainly nowhere around that. They live there on Galapagos and are endangered. So it just shows the total culture of fear. But it's more than a culture of fear of the nanny state. You had a guy in California over the weekend arrested. He was part of the steampunk art movement that I see all over the place, where you kind of dress like you're in Blade Runner. But it predates Blade Runner, but that's kind of a steampunk look. You got some big boots on, weird futuristic boots, trendy watch. Well, they arrested the guy, and they're charging him for a digital watch, saying any digital watch could be a bomb detonator.
As we saw in Katrina, and as we are watching now in New York and New Jersey, the federal government can't and won't help you in a crisis. FEMA ran out of water and MREs in days. Electricity is still off to over 1 million people. The Red Cross, who is quick to beg for money, is now slow to react. Don't put it off any longer. Get prepared today. The InfoWars shop is the largest distributor of ProPur water filter systems. And now, get 15% off your ProPur order with the promo code WATER15. While you're on InfoWarsShop.com, check out these other great preparedness items. The Aquapod kit lets you store up to 65 gallons of water in your bathtub. The Pocket Socket provides you with manual electricity for small electronics like your cell phone. The Life Straw is great for your bug-out bag. And check out our complete line of Interfood products for great tasting and nutritionally dense foods that have a great shelf life. If you are looking to secure your home in a crisis, you can order Strategic Relocations, the film, a great companion to the book Strategic Relocations 3rd edition, and The Secure Home by Joel Skousen. When the time to perform arrives, the time to prepare has already passed. Get prepared now, so if a crisis strikes your home, you and your family will be secure. Go to InfoWarsShop.com and don't forget the promo code WATER15.
I am your host, Alex Jones, and we're going to have Ray McGovern, former top analyst to Ronald Reagan and George Bush Sr. With the CIA joining us to break down the whole Middle East Gaza situation in T-minus 23 minutes from now. We are going to have Bruce Fein, constitutional lawyer, top advisor to Ron Paul, his head policy advisor during the campaign. He'll give us his take on secession and my call for the second American Revolution that has gone absolutely supernova viral, thanks to viewers and radio listeners out there like you, having the same ideas in your minds and heart that I have, and also DrudgeReport.com posting it for 3 days. Those videos have gone very, very viral, and now it's putting the idea out there, not just of state nullification, not just of states' rights, but that the states created the federalist system, and now that the federal government's been hijacked, the Declaration of Independence says, and so does the Bill of Rights, 9th and 10th Amendment, that those powers not, expressly given to the federal government, there's only 3 powers there, are reserved to the states and the people. But the 9th Amendment goes on to say, hey, not just the states in the 10th, we the people inherently hold all of that legal power to abolish this whenever we see fit. And anything not named here is also our rights. It's a double backup proviso written by some of the best lawyers and statesmen and philosophers and inventors and historians the world has ever seen or had ever seen. And so I do intend next week to continue, and of course throughout this week, to put together pieces that show common law, Magna Carta, Declaration of Independence, Bill of Rights, Constitution, and show where the legal authority in spades lies. I'm going to talk about that with one of the top constitutional advisors to Congress, lawyer and, of course, doctor of law, Bruce Fein. He will be joining us coming up in about 50 minutes from now. And we're going to have Doc Wallach, I can't wait to do this, in studio. I'll finally meet him in person to talk about a host of different news issues that are out there and why are we seeing an illness epidemic in this country. And we'll also be able to open the phones up some for him while he's here. Now, all of that said, obviously I'm going to get into the Gaza situation. And we're going to get into the economic situation that I mentioned some yesterday, but that we've got to get to more today because it's really ripening towards a new global crisis that they'll use to give the New World Order more power as they hold us hostage financially. And then I have the big stack of news. Paul Watson will be popping out at the bottom of the next hour after Fein leaves us. I got to say, great job again to our listeners. Great job to all the media out there. I said a month ago and I said last week, look, this is not about Alex Jones. This is not about Paul Watson. This is not about Matt Drudge. This is not about Rush Limbaugh. This is not about Rachel Maddow. This is not about Ron Paul. Did I already say Ron Paul? This is about being able to fly places and not be drug off to a private room and have people rip your colostomy bag off or your examine your hysterectomy stitches or pull bandages off of you or try to make old ladies going home to die in Michigan get out of their wheelchair. This is about our dignity, and it's about the federal government creating a new goon force 11 years ago, putting in naked body scanners with all the cancer clusters with the TSA, and now arresting people for their shampoo bottle, arresting people for their digital watch, saying your digital watch, you have no criminal record, no affiliation with terrorists, the government got the underwear bomber on the plane. This has all been used to take over our society. Now the TSA is rolling out in the streets, the highways, you name it. This is about a power grab. And we, left, right, center, constitutionalist, libertarian, Muslim, Jew, Christian, atheist, agnostic, theist, deist, we have all got to come together for basic human freedom. Hang together or hang separate. And we've got to say no to the oppressive things that are happening. And this is all political correctness. You know, they won't make a Muslim woman take their head covering off. What do they call those? Burqas at the airports. They won't do it in France either. They won't do it in England. But they will take your wife in a closed room and stick their hands, especially if she's a good-looking woman, because that's what they're after, this is on record, into her underwear and into her body. They will grab a governor's genitals in front of you and squeeze them to make sure they're not bombs, while laughing, saying, we gonna get photo with the governor. That is literally a quote of what I heard. This is the type of stuff that I have witnessed with my eyeballs. And remember, 2.5 years ago, TSA would deny they were doing the strip searches. They would deny they were doing the grope downs. They would deny all of these things that they are now doing. And we're doing. And now we've got confirmed reports up at Infowars.com and PrisonPlanet.com today, where the TSA are covering their badge numbers or inverting them as if we can't read upside down because we have a national poll. The Huffington Post is reporting on it. Guys, it's over there in my stack. There's a new article out on it. There's a separate article out. In fact, it's on my phone. I actually have it punched up. I meant to tell you when I got into the office, but I got distracted 4 or 5 different ways, so I didn't get all the preparation done I wanted to. I get ready at home and come in about an hour before, and I got distracted. But it's something like, I think, 52% of Americans to film TSA, and it was 52% to opt out of body scans, film TSA, and it's a poll, and I need that. Here, actually, you just hand me my little digital tracker slave grid iPhone right over there in the stack. Yeah, just no, it's the other one. Thank you very much. Thank you, and I can just get it here this way. I meant to get to that, but was unable to. Yeah, here it is, 56%. So my memory was failing because I got distracted a bunch when I got in. 56% of travelers say they'll opt out of TSA scanners next week. And that is a poll that is being carried by the Huffington Post. 5 reasons I'm opting out of the TSA scanners. And you should too. And this is the type of attitude that's going to save America and the rest of the world. When you've got the icon of libertarian, constitutional, real conservatism, drudgereport.com, and then you've got the AOL Time Warner run, George Soros originally funded Huffington Post, they're over there saying they don't like the TSA because everyone hates it. Everyone knows it's a fraud. That I talk to. And we're sick of it. We want to be able to travel in dignity. And you know what? We'd rather face the danger of Al-Qaeda. The Al-Qaeda Libya was turned over to, and now Syria that NATO and our government publicly runs. We're sick of it. We're done with it. We've had enough of it. And so we'll cover that more with Watson. Next week is one of the busiest of the year for travel. This came out last Friday. And the last thing you'll probably want to see at the airport when you fly home for Thanksgiving is a long line, especially one that's preventable. But this year, it's different. This Thanksgiving, I'm telling the TSA agents who screen me, I won't walk through their full body scanners. And what came out in congressional hearings last week, we wrote articles about it, it was in mainstream news, they lied about saving the naked images. That was all a lie. Of course it was. And they lied about the radiation test. Folks, because they see you as the enemy. And I'm sick of blaming the TSA people. 10 years ago, the TSA folks were just people that wanted $25 an hour. It's actually pretty good pay. I call them, you know, McDonald's level employees. Well, that's the training, but they actually get a pretty good little paycheck for the, 2-week training course. They give them a 1-day training course. They could potentially tell if you're lying or not. Now they're truth tellers. I mean, only the most gifted people with years of training can really tell if somebody's lying or not. And then that's not 100%. Because even if you feel guilty and feel like you're on the spot, you'll act like you're guilty. Same thing with lie detectors. Incredibly gifted people have trouble really using a lie detector machine to tell if you're lying. That's why they're inadmissible in court. And then what if the government's corrupt and lying and saying the lie detector said you were guilty? And we know that's happened. Same thing with DNA. They've got all our DNA. If you're 40 years or younger, it's 40 years now, worldwide it's happened. In all the globalist-controlled nations, most nations, they've taken your blood and put it in databases. At birth, they take ampules, folks, not just the little... the little drops they put, why don't you do the blood test here? Oh, we send it off to the health department. It's the law, they lie and say. It isn't the law, but side issue. The TSA wasn't bad up front. Now, though, it's gotten so invasive, they've run off all the reasonable people. We're told they're just going to search bags, have a little increased security because of 9/11, which we know was staged. But it sounded reasonable. And now they're on the highways. Now they're at the malls. Now they're at the political events. Now they're at races. Now they're everywhere. And now they admit the DNA database was a lie as well, and they were keeping it. It wasn't a blood test. But he goes on in the article saying that there are a whole bunch of different activist groups that are out there saying, opt out this week, don't be part of it, and film the TSA. And so you've got TV stations, national, local, you've got print media. This thing is big, and polls are showing 56% plan to opt out. That's great.
Is it not, my king, time to spring the trap?
No, we must desecrate the soul and the flesh of the Creator's creation.
The chain of life broken forever. A monument to our beauty.
Finishing up with the whole TSA situation, and we'll get back into it in about an hour with Paul Watson joining us. We are kicking off the national opt-out of the naked body scanner protest day. We are kicking that off today, and it's going to run for a week, and it's important to videotape them as well. But this is what you need to understand. When you say I'm not going on the naked body scanner, when we first called for this 3 years ago, and this started 3 Thanksgivings ago, hard to believe time has moved that fast, the TSA was saying, it's the law, we're going to make you or you won't fly. Well, A, there was no law. That was another lying fraud. And B, for a week, they just turned the scanners off because they don't want to give you a chance to ever say no to them. They don't want to give you a chance to ever resist them. They don't want to give you a chance to show the power that the people have. They do not want left, right, and center and outside of that box to ever get together and realize we'd have solidarity for basic liberty. The system, I guarantee you, hates the fact that the Drudge Report and the Huffington Post and InfoWars and CBS 42 and so many other media outlets, I mean, all over the country, newspaper reporters, TV reporters, radio talk show hosts, website news directors, are all saying, hey, let's run articles about this. Let's talk about this. Let's cover this. Let's say no to this. That's the spirit that will bring down the globalist. And that's the spirit that can create the secessionist movement, not to create a new country, but to restore the republic, because the states made the federal government. The states created federalism. So if we have the globalists who've come in with their gaggle of crooks and bought off the government at every different level, at the federal level, and now they want to federalize everything because they have that federal beachhead, we have to fight them at the state level with states' rights, Constitution, Bill of Rights, lawsuits, nullification, but also get the legislatures to come together and say, you know what, we're just going to go ahead and pull out to reconstitute the federal government in an emergency reorganization. And here's why that needs to happen, and here's the key. The globalists are bankrupting us through federal policies to bring us into a globalist emergency reorganization. They're doing that. They're bringing us into an emergency globalist reorganization. That's what they've done in Europe. They set up the euro 12 years ago officially. 60 years ago, 1957 is when the real treaty got signed, the Treaty of Rome. Go read it. It's online. And there's all news articles and old photos about it happening. The Treaty of Rome, the Treaty of London a few years before that really started it at the embryonic level, but that was quiet. Treaty of Rome, but side issue. And they are conquering us via stealth. Through this, they've bankrupted Europe. They're now absorbing what's left of the national sovereignty of the countries into a super Europe run by, quote, banking technocrats who want a, quote, 100 trillion in additional taxes from the Western world. Associated Press, London Telegraph, Newsweek, you name it. That's what they said at Davos last year. They want $100 trillion in additional taxpayer money. $100 trillion of your money to fix things. You notice they want round 3 of Greek bailout. And most of the money goes to globalist banks. But then they say, oh, it's Greece's fault. No. The debt is shining on the derivatives. And it's going to be the same thing here. So what do? Do we let them come in and emergency reorganize us? When they've staged all this collapse to make us debt serfs to them by signing on to their debt? Or do we have the states that created the federal government pull out to recognize it's a fraudulent instrument and a fraudulent takeover to then reconstitute the federal government? The states made the federal government. See, they always want you to think secession is making a new country. No. It's secession. It's more than secession. It is reconstitution, I think is the word. A secession properly called, but people won't know what that is if I call it a reconstitution. Because what do you when you reconstitute? You put things back together. We've been conquered. Just like the states are moving to block the TSA. What do the feds threaten? If you don't let our agents seize control of your travel hubs, your infrastructure, that's what an occupying army does. We'll put F-16s in the air and block air traffic. Throw me in that briar patch. Let's have that confrontation. This isn't a confrontation over slavery. This isn't even a confrontation over secession. It's that we've been conquered.
Insider billionaire investors like George Soros and John Paulson have recently made massive moves into gold, purchasing what Bloomberg News described as gold hoards. Soros alone doubled his holdings in a single day. Russia's Vladimir Putin has doubled down on gold, increasing the country's holdings by over 100%. With $1.8 trillion under management, the bond king Bill Gross, the world's preeminent bond fund manager at PIMCO, has warned investors of the dangers of QE3 and inflation. And what's he betting on? You guessed it, gold. Friends, this is Alex Jones for MidasResources.com. For more than 15 years, I have exclusively used Midas Resources for all my precious metal needs. Whether it's bullion or collectibles you're looking for, Midas Resources is simply the best. I own my gold as a hedge against inflation. This Federal Reserve fiat currency could go the way of the Deutschmark and the Weimar Republic anytime. In these historically dangerous times, it makes sense to physically hold gold and silver. Midas already has some of the best deals in the industry. But if you give them a call and mention the radio special, they will give you a list of the day's super specials. Midas brokers are standing by to answer all your questions at 800-686-2237. They also have a lot of informative free literature explaining the opportunities and risk of holding precious metals. They are ready to answer your questions at 800-686-2237. Again, that's 800-686-2237.
Welcome, my friends. Again, thank you for joining us. We are 33 minutes into this worldwide transmission. Coming up, constitutional lawyer, advisor to Ron Paul, his chief policy advisor in the campaign, advisor to Congress, Bruce Fein, is going to join us. I want a secession movement not to create a new country, but to kick out the private Federal Reserve and the multinationals that have taken over the federal government that have turned our country into a system run by authoritarian psychopaths, to quote Ron Paul. And so we're going to be talking with Bruce Fein about that. Ron Paul has come out again today. Ron Paul defends growing secessionist movement. Retiring congressman notes principle is deeply American. And the states created the federal government. I don't want the states to create a new government. I want them to restore the republic. Very delicate difference there, but also glaring at the same time. There's a paradox there. I'm going to try to continue my call for the Second American Revolution against secret arrest, the police state, the FEMA camps, the new Army manuals that say re-education centers in them, the new bailouts they're going to demand when they further collapse the economy, just like the same group of banks are doing in Europe. All of that's coming up. Also, my national call for opt-out week is being picked up by media across the United States, from CBS News to the Huffington Post. We're going to be covering that. Videos are pouring in of people videotaping the TSA, standing up to them, handing out our flyers, and resisting this federalization prisoner training program. It's basically Fallujah occupation training. They even admit that.
Visit Infowars.com and PrisonPlanet.com. When you're on the site, you can also tune in 24 hours a day to my daily radio broadcast. There's also a free iPhone app to listen to the syndicated radio show when and where you want.